Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Fit Chicks Chat. My name's Laura Jackson.
And I'm Amanda Quinn.
And on this week's episode, we are doing a Throwback Thursday, which we've never done a Throwback Thursday, but we thought this would be like the perfect time because right now we have a ton of our fitness and nutrition experts from Fit Chicks Academy who are graduating. We also have our new group, which is starting March 27th, which you can get more information on if you're interested in becoming a certified fitness and nutrition coach at fitchicksacademy.com. We thought, why not share about our journey of starting our business? Because especially for the ones who are graduating, it's like new, they're stepping out in the world, and it's like, oh my gosh, I want to start this, but then the nerves come and all that stuff. And we just want to share what it was like for us. It's going to be fun. I'm excited.
No, me too. I'm always excited. And I love sharing this story because I think showing the evolution of like where we started and where we have grown as individuals and as businesswomen and as a company is just like, it's so cool to see that evolution. And sometimes I think we even forget like all of the things that we went through over the years because we've been running this business now, guys, for like a decade, which is like, crazy. And we've been so fortunate that we've done so many cool things, but we've also had really big lessons, aka
failures, struggles.
People call it as failures, we call it as lessons, but like we've had a lot of this along the way. And so like I think it's really cool to be able to share that with people because like you said, we do have so many of our students graduating or people that are considering even like, okay, like I want to get into this industry. I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. What is that going to look like for me? Can I do this? Like there's so many questions that pile up in people's minds. And it's just like showing where we started and where we've ended up, I think is a really good way for people to see what's possible and not to get in their heads so much and step in their own way of like being like, oh no, there's no opportunity there. Because there's tons of opportunity in this industry.
Totally. And especially when it comes to social media, I find like, because even when we first started our business, so like Amanda said, it was a decade ago, so 2008.
Yeah.
So social media wasn't, I don't even think it was even like, no, maybe Facebook had just started, but it was like very new still. And, I think that now with social media being so huge and everyone's posting their highlight reels and you're like, a lot of people were looking at thinking that they're, killing it in the game and they just came out of the gates and it's like, oh my gosh, they're running this amazing business. And they're, let's say, obviously in fitness, we're talking about it. But they're looking at being like, oh my gosh, this person's just like running this fitness company and they came out of nowhere and they have 100,000 followers. And really, guys, with the people who look like the overnight success, most of the time there is years and years and years and years and years of ups and downs and wrongs and rights and failures and successes to get there. So a lot of people will come to us and be like, oh my gosh, you guys have been so successful and so amazing. But it wasn't always like that. And we want to share
all kittens and rainbows.
It's not all kittens and rainbows. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but a lot of fun work.
And fulfilling work. Like it's this fulfilled feeling of like, it's such a different feeling than like when you have a job and you have a lot of work. Like when I worked corporate, I had a lot of work to do every day, but I was like unfulfilled by it because it wasn't the same.
So let's bring it back then. Let's go throwback. We're going way back. Because for some of you who might be listening to this right now, this might be your first podcast you're listening to. You might not even know, our story or how we started Fit Chicks or even where we were. So
we're going to condense 10 years into 20 minutes.
Let's do it. But when we first started, I always like to start off telling our story that, we were never sporty or athletic growing up. We never had this clear vision of like, we want to start a fitness company. We want to help women create their best lives, their best health. Like all the things that ended up happening, it wasn't this like clear vision that we knew from the get-go. So we started actually both of us in business. We didn't like our careers. We went to school for, I went to school for marketing. Amanda went to school for events and sales, both with obviously a focus on majorly on business. And we went out into our career and I started, I was working in international marketing for hotels. Amanda was working in sales for corporate sales and advertising for TIFF and for House of Blues. And we were having like this, young 20s, like these
cool jobs,
lots of opportunities. Lots of travel. lots of events, lots of booze, lots of late nights, lots of networking, like all this stuff that we
in downtown Toronto, the like mecca center of fun.
Yeah. Where, you know, on the outside, it was like we were living this insane life that we, like, everyone was like, oh my gosh, it's so, like, and I was having a ton of fun. You were having a ton of fun. My liver was not having a ton of fun.
My sleep deprivation was not having a lot of fun. Yeah.
My body, my psyche, my anxiety, my everything was not having a lot of fun. But
well, that's just it. That's just it though. Like when you think back, when I think back to that, it was like one of the decisions that I made back when we were partying a lot and having late nights when I was working at House of Blues was to go get my yoga certification. Yeah. And it was literally, guys, like it literally had no intention of ever teaching. I had no intention of teaching anybody ever in my whole life. I did it because I needed to reconnect to myself. And I also just wanted to further my own practice and learn and grow and like get better as a yogi, but also because I was like dealing with a ton of anxiety and I was like not treating my body well. I was, you know, partying like at concerts and stuff, like 4 or 5 nights a week, like craziness, like total madness. And I just knew I needed to reconnect because it didn't feel good. Yeah. It's not that it wasn't who I was. It's just, it didn't feel good. I didn't feel good every single day. So I needed to like reconnect. So I took it with no intention of teaching. And then it just spawned into this, like, I just realized that I loved sharing that information. I loved sharing that knowledge.
But even it was super weird. So I didn't have any certifications at this point, nor did I think that I really had any interest in doing that or any, but we were living together.
Yeah.
And I always find though, it's interesting because you and I have always been naturally very self-aware. Like we know, like, you know, a lot of people go through life and they have no idea what's causing, you know, pain in their life or struggles. Like I always knew like something is not right. My behavior is not in line with who I want to be. Like, but I wasn't at that place of maturity yet where I was like, okay, what should I be doing? You know what I mean? Like it was just like, I knew this was not what I want to be doing. And I actually ended up, I don't know if we hadn't opened FitChicks yet. No, we hadn't, because we hadn't even gotten certified yet. I remember I was in LA and we were pitching this massive advertising budget. And it was like $1 million or something like that we were going to get from our bosses in LA. And we got it. And my boss at the time was like, so like, oh my God, Laura, aren't you so proud? Like we got this huge budget. We just killed it. We closed this. And I remember standing in LA and I felt this insane knot of emptiness in my stomach. And it was like, all I kept thinking was, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And in my mind, I was like, $1 million on like hotel rooms. Like, this is what I'm going to be happy that my accomplishments are. Like, it was just such a weird, like, it was almost like the universe literally like was like, zzz, like, this is your time to open your eyes and decide if this is the path you want to go on. And it just hit me so hard. And I remember like coming home and like you and I were talking about stuff and I was just like, oh my God, like I'm so over this. Like I'm so over this. But then, so when we started FitChicks, we always, like a lot of people, again, I wish there was some big thing that we, like a lot of it too, we started working out again together for our own health. Cause we were like, oh my gosh, like I'm
our own mental and physical health.
Yeah. I'm overweight. I'm not happy. I'm like, I feel so miserable. And at that time there wasn't like a lot of the female kind of fitness class. All female fitness classes were like aerobic style. It was like step aerobics, like, like what are other ones? Like just regular aerobic, like high, low, cardio jam, like whatever.
Run Fit, one of my favorites.
Yeah. And we loved like the harder core. Like we loved the lifting weights or the body weight exercise, like the high intensity interval training, but high intensity interval training wasn't even popular then. Like
it was like, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah. And we ended up going to this fitness class. And I'll never forget this night. It's so weird. It's like, it's so ingrained.
I could picture it in my brain. It's like there. Yeah. Like I could be right there in my mind.
Yeah. And we ended up taking this fitness program. It was an outdoor, like boot camp style program. And we're like, this is so cool that you get to like work out in the outside, like outdoors, and like the weather's so nice and like the moon's so bright. And cause we did this class at like 7:00 at night.
Yeah.
But then, so we're in this class and we're like, oh my gosh, we're like, this is a fun workout. We're like, we could totally do this. Like we should teach this. Like we should create our own stuff. Like, cause we would do our own workouts too together. And we're like, we should create our own stuff and we should teach this. But then it was like, Amanda and I are laying there, like literally doing sit-ups. And we're like looking around and we're like, there's a lot of people in this class.
Yep.
And then I'll let you talk. I'm like talking away here.
Well, no, that's okay. Yeah, no, we were counting the people, literally laying there. And we're like doing
like every time I sit up, I'm like,
yeah, we're
1,
like
2, 3, 4, 5,
12, 13. And like, it spawned, like it created this idea in our mind where we were just like, you know, we could totally do this. We feel like from our business background and our knowledge, we could probably do it better. And we could build a brand that is unique to us, because their brand itself was like something that didn't necessarily speak to everybody. And it wasn't inclusive. It had a different vibe to it. And we were kind of like, let's create something that we would want to attend, you know? And like, but it came from this idea of just like, oh my gosh, like there is a need in the marketplace. Clearly there's a need, because if you look around, there's all these women that are attending this program, you know? And so and with any kind of business, there was never just one person in business in that same business, right? Like there's no sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
No, but sorry to interrupt you, but that's what I also say in our business program in Fit Chicks Academy. I say like competition is a sign of market demand. It's not like people, because the one thing we get asked a lot is people are like, well, how could I even start a business? The market's so saturated. Like, how am I going to stand out? And I'm like, if you look at any industry and there is a lot of people already in it, it means there's market demand. It means there's a lot of people who want that product, but you just need to find your unique way of packaging it and creating it as a new opportunity. And that's what we did. So when we came out, when we're like Fit Chicks, like we from the get-go, we're like, we want like it to be like bright yellow, like a chick. We want something that stands out, that like is not specific to one type of woman, that any woman of any age, any race, any shape, any size can see herself, find her own version of an inner fit chick, right? And I know I'm getting a little bit ahead, but it was just like, that's where we were like, we saw this opportunity, as Amanda said, and it was like something all these women wanted this, and we're like, we got to find our tribe of women, because if there's this many women who want like this version, how many women are going to want what we can put together?
Exactly. Yeah, no, and that's pretty much what we did. Like, then we decided, like, you know, we started our company Fit Chicks with our boot camp programs, but we kept our full-time jobs. So like, this is one thing I really want to like hit home, is that, you know, sometimes people think like, oh, but there's no money in the industry, or how do I build my business? Or, you know, like, I'm afraid to do this because like, what if it doesn't work out? But the thing is that there's a safeguard that you can do. And that's exactly what we did. I call it like our safety net. We kept our full-time jobs and we taught part-time in the evenings while we built our business, while we built our brand, while we built our credibility, while we built our bank. We kept our full-time jobs till we were at a point where we knew our business was at a place where we personally felt comfortable taking that leap of faith, which was about a year. It was about a year after we started our business.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, that is still really fast, guys. That's still really fast. Like, there's people that I know who, you know, have had their part-time gig for like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years before they are making enough to move forward. Because it really depends what's going on in your life. Like, when we started
what your comfort level is.
And what your comfort level is. But when we started our business too, we were 28 years old. We didn't have kids. We were not married. We were single at the time.
We were living together a townhouse that we had this amazingly cheap grandfather rent.
Yeah. So we didn't have a lot of expenses. And we also had a lot of, like, I would go to my full-time job, then I would come home and we would teach and I would market, and I literally was working nonstop. So when people always think that, you know, you look like an overnight success, like the amount of blood, sweat, and tears that went into it, even still now, but at the beginning, like it was literally like we would be up every weekend. We'd be trying to volunteer at events to like get our brand out there. We'd be volunteering at warm-ups. Can we do things at the running room, or maybe stretch people out?
We'd be going to women's shows and handing out flyers rogue style till we got kicked out.
Yeah. We got kicked out of things. We would be at like any event that would have women at it. We were there. Like, it was insane. And
we became training partners for the Weekend Walk to End Women's Cancer. Like, we volunteered our time so often that we became a training partner with them. So we were at all their events, like leading them and stuff. Like, we did whatever it took. And we
put up posters.
We worked night and day all the time, taught 4 nights a week, back-to-back classes, built our brand and built our business. And like, but we did it in a way where we were comfortable. Whereas I do know some of our students, like, Doug Mary, Causer, like those people, like they quit their full-time jobs as soon as they got their certificate from us. As soon as they were certified as a fitness nutrition expert, they were holding their piece of paper and like giving their notice at the same time because that was their comfort level. And that's amazing. But it's like, I also know people that they go down to part-time at their full-time jobs and then start doing their business full-time. So then they're like kind of switching what we did, but like, it's really just about like you looking at your life, your comfort level and your needs, right? Because it's like, if you have a mortgage, you have kids, you have all this stuff,
for sure.
It might be too risky for you just to be like, I quit and I'm going to just do this full time and just try to build it. You might want to do it the slow approach like what we did, which has totally worked for us, clearly.
But we also have people like who still to this day who've taken our fitness nutrition expert program and they only do it part-time. But the thing that I want to be really realistic about with you guys too is, well, a couple things. Number one is any type of business requires work. So if you are opening a business, you have to be willing, you can't put in 10 minutes a day. And if you do, you have to be okay with the fact that your business will probably take a very long time to grow. Yeah. Right? So if you have to be realistic about the time, the commitment, and it's going to take work and you have to really be passionate about doing it or else it's going to drain you. Right?
Yeah.
For us, it literally like, I would leave my full-time job and I was like fired up. I was so fired up.
I would like not really do my full-time job ever. Yeah. Sounds so bad. Anyone listening from TIFF, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I apologize.
I ended up hitting, like the thing is I ended up hitting all my like targets and stuff. So it was fine. But like, instead of building presentations, I'd be like researching permits and stuff. And like,
I know.
Fitting it in between, which is so bad, but you do what you got to do.
But it's like, you have to be realistic about the amount of work you want to put in. But the other thing you have to realize is that this is an industry where you can actually make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I think there's still this misconception. We actually have a podcast coming up all about this, but there's this misconception that, as a fitness instructor, you have to work for someone else and you can only make like $20 an hour, $25 an hour teaching a class. When Amanda and I were laying around in that class we're doing sit-ups, counting people, we had paid $20 a class to be there. There was 20 women in that class. Quick math, that's $400 an hour this person was making. $400 an hour. That's more than most lawyers make.
Yeah.
And as long as you can rent out public space, like a park, you can rent out church community centers, dance studios.
And a lot of places don't even charge for using their parks.
Yeah. Like there's so, like, it is not hard to do this. Like, but you can, so even just think, like, I wrote an email about this too the other day. Even if you think about that, like an extra $400 2 times a week, that's $800 a week.
Yeah.
So 800 times
4. Well, if you say for 4 weeks,
4.
Yeah.
What's that? $3,200.
$3,200 a month that you can make if you were teaching.
I even wrote it wrong in my email. I think I said it was $2,400. My math is not a strong suit.
No, but it would be $3,200 a month. Like I know when we were doing it, when we would calculate, my camps teaching back-to-back classes, so I was teaching 2 hours a night. We were bringing in over $5,000 a month in revenue, and same with your classes. So we were making over $10,000 a month in revenue with very, very low overhead costs because we were teaching all by ourselves, and all we had to pay for was our permits.
Yeah, and our insurance
were like $30 each. Yeah, and our insurance, but our
insurance, our marketing, that stuff too. But it's like these are the things where, like, I don't know about you guys, but most people to have an extra $3,200 a month, imagine how much that would change your life.
Yeah.
Right now, even so, you worked full time and you teach 2 times a week, and I'm not guaranteeing that you.
And it's like fulfilling.
It's fulfilling.
It's like,
and it's your workout.
You get your workout in. You get to meet cool people. You get to do something you love. You get to inspire other people. You get to help them live their best life and help them be healthy. Because like, that's one thing I don't ever take for granted is that what you're doing as a health professional, whether it's teaching fitness classes, whether it's doing nutrition, whether it's being a naturopath, like whatever it is that you're doing from a health perspective, you are helping someone change their life. Because when you change their health, you'll change their life. And so I never take that for granted, and I never take that lightly. So it's like when you're doing that, you've got to be super proud of that and like really feel good about that. Like it's such a feel good thing to remember.
Well, I know I've gone on my tangents on here before, and I say it all the time to our students too. I'm like, what we are doing is the most underestimated, I think one of the most underestimated professions, because if you can motivate someone and give them the tools to to move their bodies safely and learn how to make it a priority, and also how to eat, you have given them two things that will change the trajectory of their entire life. It will change it can be the difference between a heart attack and not a heart attack. It can be the difference between cancer and not cancer, like diabetes.
Seeing their kids grow up or not.
Having the energy to play with their kids. Yeah, exactly. Like these are the things that it's, I'm not calling down doctors in any way. I love doctors. However, but it's like, we're the first line of defense. Like if you can actually get people in your fitness classes and motivate them to move and to eat better, they never have to go to the point where they're dealing with doctors.
We hope. Exactly.
And
that's the hope, and that's
no guarantees, but
of course
it goes, I think because fitness instructors for so long, it's always been the idea of like, you think kind of about like the vanity side of it, right? Because most people are like, I want to work out because I want to look hot, which is great too. Yeah, you should want to look hot and you should feel good in your skin and proud of your body. Like, and if that's what gets you in the door, great, because then we're doing that behind the scenes work that we're still thinking, but I'm still know that I'm making you a healthier person, which in turn is going to make you a better person, which in turn is going to make the people in your life happier and healthier. And it's this huge ripple effect. So I'm like, don't ever underestimate the work that you do as fitness instructors. It's the best job. Like, honestly, like the amount of transformation and change that we have had the opportunity to be a part of, like it gives me goosebumps every time I talk about it.
We have been so fortunate. We have been part of over tens of thousands of women's journey. Like over, I think closer to 20,000 women that we have worked with. Whether it's in fitness classes, whether it's online programs, whether it's through our Fit Chicks Academy, like education, literally close to 20,000 women that we have worked with, that we have touched their lives in some way, shape, or form, that have then hopefully caused a ripple effect in their communities, in their families, in their friends. And it's so cool to think that, right? And that's what it's really all about.
Well, and that's when it goes back to at the beginning when I was talking about that moment in the boardroom where I felt like literally the universe was like, Laura, this is your wake up call. Like you have one life, you have one life. And we just came back from a conference too at the ClickFunnels conference, which was a lot about digital marketing, but it's also, there was a lot of motivational entrepreneurs there, who are sharing their stories, because everyone there, they're all there to serve a bigger purpose, right? We all want to make this world a better place, no matter what niche you're in, no matter what industry you work in. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, for me, going back to that time, I think, oh my gosh, like I wish that everyone would have that universe that I had. I don't know what to call it. I'm calling it but you know what I mean?
I keep thinking of like the Jetsons, like that Martian guy on the Jetsons with the like,
I feel like it's like a lightning bolt that just like
hang on it.
But it's so weird because now whenever I have those feelings, I'm like, I know I need to do something about it. Sometimes they're not like, they're warning signs of bad things. I'm like, I don't ignore any of those, like those moments where I'm like, something's But this is why for you guys listening that we are telling this story too, because we want you to go after and create your dreams. Stop feeling that like there are roadblocks, because like we said, it's hard work, but it's not as hard as people think. It's if you have that passion, if you have that drive, if you want to really do this, then you can totally do it.
Yeah.
But it's all about getting out of your own way and going after it. Like
for sure. And also, it's also just like trusting yourself in your decision making. Like if you have something in you that is saying, I really want to work with elderly people. I think that's just something I'm really passionate about, is helping elderly people have mobility for life and helping them be strong and healthy. But then someone in your family says, well, no, like, I don't think, they have pensions. They might not be able to afford it. You should work with kids. And you take that advice and you don't trust what it is, that the path that you really want to go down. My fear is always that A, you're going to end up resenting it. And B, you're going to end up not feeling as passionate about it. You have to find the thing that you love and trust yourself enough to know that, like, if you love it and you know that there is people out there that need your help, that they will find you. But you have to follow that path. Don't just veer off of it because you think that there's money elsewhere. There will always, where you make impact, money will come.
Well, and we, even with us, we had, like, we're a perfect example of it. We had people telling us, you need to train men. You need like
on the Dragon's Den. We had dragons, like super smart entrepreneurs that are like super rich investors that are telling us, oh, you need to work with men. And we're like,
we're like, no. Like, even so for our US peeps listening, it's like Shark Tank. So in Canada, we have Dragon's Den, and we went on and we got a deal, and it was like they were trying to push us in the direction of like, you should add a whole thing about working with men, and you should work with pregnant women, and you should do this and this and this. And we knew we always want to work with women. And we have great people that we like, you know, refer out to if it's prenatal or during pregnancy. Because for us, that was never something we wanted to fully focus on. We just wanted to work with women we always knew we wanted to make sure too, it was always women like of all levels. We wanted to create a safe space, whether you were a beginner or advanced, we could all work out together, grow together, like safely,
be challenged together,
and create like real communities. And that was always our goal. And it's like, as soon as somebody tells you to try to do something, and you and I trust ourselves and we trust our guts. Like when I hear something and when I feel something and it doesn't feel right, I know I can't do it. But my body also will tell me, like I will suddenly be like, having freaking
anxious about it.
Yeah. And not in the way of like nerves. There's a big difference between nervous and like anxiety, panic attack.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I just wanted to share that thing about like trusting yourself, because I do think that that's an area that so many people, they just don't. They were like, well, I don't know. And then they have like outside influencers trying to tell them what they should be doing. But you do know. Trust me, you do know. You just have to pay attention. Pay attention to the thing that like when you talk about it, it lights you up. The thing that like when you read about it, you're like, you want to dive deeper. You want to go further. When you get to that, when you figure that thing out, that's your thing.
Yeah.
So like go there. Don't go and force yourself. It's like people that run and they're like, I hate running. It's like, don't run. Find something you like. It's the same idea. The same concept of business, the same idea in everything in life. Just do the things that you know that you love, that you will not end up resenting.
And do it with the people that you know you love. Like that's another thing too. I see a lot of people who end up, you know, even if you're a solopreneur, like I always wanted to be in a partnership. And that was something like for you and I never could imagine doing this on my own. And if for some reason, knock on wood, anything ever happened to Fit Chicks, I wouldn't never do it on my own. If you were like, I don't want to do this anymore, I would not keep this brand or business because it's you and I, right? Like, but for people who are doing it on your own, make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people, whether it be coaches, whether it be business coaches, whether it be certification programs, that you feel like you're
communities, like
and you enjoy being in that community. Like you feel like you're not doing what you're told. You feel like you're part of it and you feel like you enjoy that, the conversation, the approach, and all of those things. Like, and that's something for us, we've always been so big on, like I said, even in our fitness classes, building that community. It's the same thing for our education programs, our fitness and nutrition experts, whether they're graduating or whether you're just starting, we always are like, we keep our community strong because we believe that no matter where you are in that stage, the more women we can get together, we can always help each other up, no matter what stage you're in. Mm-hmm. And that's where I don't know. It's like, stop. That's my advice, I guess, for today. Don't spend time with people you don't want to spend time with. Don't.
Whether it's teaching them or whether it's working with them or whether it's like a partnership or whether it's like learning from them, like any of those things, just, avoid it at all costs. Find the people that inspire you and that you inspire back, you know, and that there's like this cool give and take that happens.
Exactly. So that's
I feel like we didn't fully share our story today, but I feel like we shared parts of it.
Well, I mean, and it will be an ongoing thing. We've got a lot of stuff kind of coming up because there were so many different levels of it. I mean, we've gone through a lot in 10 years, and even just starting our business is one thing. But I think that's the one thing that's been important for this conversation. Like, as you were saying at the beginning, we have a lot of people graduating. We have a lot of people who are starting our program. Again,
or who are thinking. Or who are thinking like, I want to get into the health and fitness industry. I want to become a certified fitness coach, but they're like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if this is for me. I don't have the guts to do it. I'm not like them, but you are, because like we were just two girls in a fitness class doing sit-ups being like, we could rock this for sure. And we came home and we sat in our living room and we figured out what our name was going to be. And then from there, it just spawned into what it is today. And it just grew from that. It was that one moment when we finally figured out the name. That was like the pivotal moment, I think, for us.
Well, and then you could see it. It was weird. It was like, suddenly I was like, it went from being this just like, okay, we're going to teach fitness classes to being like, oh my gosh, I see the path. I see everything that
we see a food line. We see this, we see that. And those things are still coming in the future.
Well, and that's a beautiful
thing. 10 years later, we still have things that we talked about 10 years ago that we haven't even done. Like we've done majority. We've hit all like majority of our goals and stuff, but we still had things that like creatively that we were like, oh my gosh, we can do this food line and we can do this and we can do that. And we still haven't done those things. So we still have other challenges coming our way.
But that's when I think it's important that even you're just saying that, because it's like a lot of people will just think for some reason like we knew how to do all this stuff naturally. No, guys, we had to learn. Like we have business
education and background, we had to learn it all.
Well, and even now it's completely different. Because when we went to school, and that's why we never stop. And it's not about, I think too, like the way that I've always approached it, and I remember my friend Michelle said this to me once. She's like, I always love the way you approach business because it's never about an end destination. It's about mastering your craft. And you always keep trying to be better at my craft, which to me is twofold. One of my craft is educating and teaching health and wellness and fitness and nutrition. My other element of it is building a business. And I'm constantly trying to master those two things. But there's no destination. Mastery is a lifelong journey, right? It's like the samurai.
Yeah.
But I always love that because if you fall in love with the process, if you fall in love with learning and knowing that there is no end destination, that you keep going with it, then you'll never get sick of doing what you love and creating what you love in the world. Like even when the roadblocks come in, even when things aren't going your way, even when you're not like at the level you want to be at and you can see where you want to be, even if you have 5 people in your class, like show up and do it in a way that, you know what I mean? Like do it 110% like you're building an empire, and it will change their approach. You know, you've got to be professional. You've got to be legit. You've got to be buttoned up from day one, but that eventually will pay off, and it will
for sure
tenfold.
And my final piece of advice before we sign off on this is just don't compare yourself to other people's end stories or where they're at from where you're at. So if you are someone who is like, I'm just starting out in this, or I've only been doing this for a year, don't look at us and think, well, why am I not there yet? Because we've been doing this for 10 years. And even if you have someone else who's been doing it for 1 year and you've been doing it for 1 year, don't compare yourself to their story. You have no idea what's happening in the background. You have no idea like what kind of support they have. You have no idea like what kind of background education they have. Like you don't know the full story. So rather than looking at people as a comparison, look at them as an inspiration. Don't compare yourself, just be inspired by people. And if you find yourself comparing them, remove them from your social media. We talk about this a lot, but do it right away because
we do too.
It's going to drain you. It's going to like suck you into like this rabbit hole of like Negatron vibes, and you don't need to be there. When you're building a business, you need to be thinking of it from a perspective of like, okay, like what's inspiring me? What's my next step? And thinking always like positively towards moving forward, not.
Well, and that's what I always love, even at the conference we were just at, they were talking about the concept of like the yellow brick road to your Oz.
Yeah, I love this.
Yeah, and it's, you know, we see this end result, like your Oz thing that you want to create at the end. But you have to remember, you have to build your yellow brick road to get there. And how do you build anything?
By brick.
Brick by brick. So don't focus so much on getting to the end. Focus on laying the next brick down. And that might be creating a fitness class, or maybe, you know, volunteering more, or maybe learning how to create a sales funnel. Getting certified, like whatever that is, focus on that, not on, oh my gosh, I have to get to Oz.
Exactly.
Okay, so with that, guys, we are going to wrap this up. For those of you who are looking to get certified, exciting news, because our fitness and nutrition expert program is open for registration, and it's closing very soon, actually, because we start on March 28th. We only open this program 2 times a year. So because we shut it down to make sure that we're giving our students 150%. So you've got to make sure that you check this out at fitchexacademy.com. And is there anything else that we have that we want to chat?
No, I think that's it. It's just like, stop hesitating, start taking action. If you're interested in learning more about fitness and nutrition, if it is the thing that lights you up, and if it is the thing that you're like nerding out on, and you like reading about health and fitness, you like helping people come to you. People come to you for advice all the time, like at work or your friends or your family. They're always asking you questions about health and fitness. It's a sign. It's like, that's like that thing, that thing to your brain that's showing you this is the path that you have a choice to make. So if you have that happening in your life, make the choice, decide, do you want to live of like fulfilling that passion side? And if you do, join us and we'll get you certified. So check it out at fitchexacademy.com.
Yeah. Love a little Throwback Thursday. Okay. Bye guys. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.